Hey, welcome to Pass or Play. So we're gonna recap Queen Sugar season 7, episode 2. So we open up with Aunt Vi looking for Parker's mother's number or some kind of information. Um, I thought that Parker's mom had passed away, but maybe I'm wrong. She said she was looking for like an address book or something, either I guess specifically for Parker's mom, or I guess I'm thinking it's Parker's mom. She also has a photo of Aunt Vi and Parker's mom when they were like younger teenagers, or maybe a little bit younger than that, like preteen teenagers. And she's looking basically to try to see if she can get in contact with Parker's mom. Then we go to Ralph Angel, Nova, and Micah. They're watching an old VHS tape. If you know what that is, I mean, actually, if you watch Queen Sugar, you probably know what a VHS tape and a VCR is. But anyway, they're watching a VHS tape of um, Ernest and Trudy Bordelon, Nova and Ralph Angel's mom and dad, with all of them when they were younger, with the family tree booklet, with the family tree book of names, and I think it's all three of them actually are in the video, and then Aunt Vi is recording it. You don't see her, but you hear them speaking to her because she's the one that's recording it. And then as they're watching, as all three of them are watching the VHS, it gets jammed in the VCR, and Michael pulls it out. It doesn't end up getting cut, but it gets like kind of crunched in there. And he says that they need to digitize it before it ends up getting destroyed. And later on in the episode, Michael ends up digitizing it from VHS to like DVD, or making it into like an MP, whatever kind of video file. And then we go to Micah being in class with the activist photographer, who's his kind of like teacher now, and teacher tells them, understanding the value of an image, comes from a photographer, but also the value of images as NFTs, digital, like digital prints that they can use and can be sold online. It can make profits. They need like an NFT firm, or they call it like aggregators, to basically put it up to be sold, and that's how you make money. Then the teacher references this agitator or NFT firm guy named Zane. He tells Micah that the guy's a little sleazy, but he's been asking the teacher for more photos, because there's one photo that he had gave and it made like over $100,000. So, and that $100,000 he donated to Black Lives Matter organization, for charity. But anyway, the teacher gives Micah this guy Zane's information, and Micah goes and meets with Zane. Zane, recognizes Micah right away because who his dad is. And later on in the episode 2, Zane ends up coming to Michael's apartment, looks at his photos. He tells him his mom is hot. He looked at some of the photos, and he sees Michael with like Isaiah, and then he asks Micah, "Is he gay?" And Michael's like, "No." And a little bit later in the episode with Micah, he goes back to the firm, after Zane takes some photos that he saw that he thinks would sell. Micah ends up selling some photos, or start selling photos in NFTs and making some money. So I don't think, didn't say how much he made, but Micah comes in and back into the farm, and they're like, "Congratulations!" And so he did make some kind of money. It didn't show the photos that were used either. Maybe we'll see it in the next episode. Let's see. And then in this episode, Prosper's planning the date for Sandy, with help from Hollywood. Sandy's always wanted to go to Jamaica, so they end up setting it looks, I'm not sure if it was at the restaurant or maybe at Hollywood's, gentleman's club kind of a thing that he set up, but they end up setting up with decorations kind of like they're kind of on a beach. And Aunt Vi and Hollywood and the I think it's was either that character's name was Julio or Juan, but they end up cooking like jerk chicken, rice, plantains, rum cake, yaman, and they're talking in a Jamaican accent. I can't do a Jamaican accent. That sounded like it was really bad English or whatever that was. Anyway, but they end up cooking. They end up cooking for Prosper and Sandy, and the date ends up going well. And I wanted to play too because that food was looking good for Matt Vine. And then we go to a scene in the supermarket. Billy, which is Prosper's daughter, she runs into Parker, but Parker's like, my mom calls me Imani. And basically, the scene is Billy is getting a call from Vince, which I can't remember, is he still her husband or like her ex-husband, but she gets a call from him, and she kind of sends it to voicemail, and and Parker sees that, and she's like, I don't mean to butt in, but just deal with it or answer the call, face it head on, don't keep avoiding it, just face it head on. And so it kind of ends and begins there. They do end up seeing each other again later, and then Billy ends up finding out who quote unquote Imani really is, which is Parker. Um, then we go to another scene where Nova ends up having drinks with Mo from the Louisiana Co-op. Earlier, she was like kind of looking at land or crops with Ralph Angel, Prosper, I believe, and Nova earlier. And then after that, Nova and Mo ends up leaving to do an interview with Nova. And so they end up getting drinks. And then there's like this like kind of casual flirting with each other. They kind of showed that in the last episode where they were kind of flirting with each other. And Ralph Angel had told her, I know you, Nova, let's keep this, professional because we're trying to get this, co-op started. But Donovan is out of town, but he ends up texting Nova while she's interviewing Mo, and Mo tells her that she's half Native American, half African American, and she feels kind of outcast in both sides, and kind of how it was growing up, and different things regarding like her heritage, and like a little bit of a history lesson. And then later on, Nova says she ended up getting an idea because we end up, then we cut to Parthena, who in the last episode had asked Darla if she would help her get it, with her mortgage. She's there with Billy at the USDA clerk's kind of office. She's there with Darla and Billy, and Parthena's asking, what happened with her file extension. And the guy, the USD clerk, Miller's like, I don't have it. Do you have a receipt? And she's like, I've been coming here for over 35 years. I've never gotten a receipt. And then he says it's not fair that black families get to receive those USCA funds for farmers while the white farmers don't. And the white farmers are filing suit to try to get the funds that the black farmers are getting. And he said it's, reverse discrimination. And this Miller guy also specifically handles all the African American funds, those the USDA clerk kind of accounts and funds and whatnot. So it turns out Nova finds out through a later scene that he handles all of the different farmers' funds and mortgages and different things like that, and they all have problems with him. He's deliberately kind of setting them back. And in the meeting with Parthena, he gives her 48 hours to pay the $25,000 that she owes. He says for the matter to be settled, since he doesn't recall receiving the file extension. And then he also subtly mentions that he knows someone who would love to buy the land, but if she doesn't pay that $25,000, then the sheriff will come and will come and evict her from the land, because then the bank is gonna take basically take the house. So um and also too, in that scene, when Billy and Darla kind of realize that that guy's basically no help after he tells them, if she can pay the $25,000 in 48 hours, they leave. There's an African American USDA clerk who kind of walks out and holds the door for them, and he ends up letting Darla know that this guy handles all the black accounts again, and that don't trust him. He's not trustworthy, and he can't do anything because that's not his account. And that Miller handles all those accounts. And he tells her that he can talk to her at a later time. He just can't talk to her, right then and there, at the USDA clerk's office or whatever. So she says, okay. And she takes the guy's card. They don't show them talking later, but, um, and then we cut to Nova with like all of the border loans, going to the historical landmark hearing in front of the city council. She speaks to keeping the historical landmark and standing and honoring the lives of the Thibodeau massacre victims. And saying, we're prefer we're preserving their legacy, and it's also her family's land, and to basically honor the past so you can also honor and protect the future. And then Parker gets up there. She starts crying and talking about, yes, it is good to preserve the future, to preserve the past and respect the past and honor the victims. But she also says that the outlet mall will bring jobs and boost, that area's a weak economy. And then after that, the city council decides to move forward with the outlet mall, and the city council basically just overturns the landmark on the Bordelon farm. The Landrys, they're so annoying. They're just, yeah. The Landrys are just very, they're just annoying, and it's like they keep playing tennis. It's just like back and forth. The Landrys do one thing, the Bordelons do another. It's just back and forth. It's just like it never ends. And now they're trying to get this outlet mall. So now, now the Nova does say that she has an idea, from talking to Mo earlier. They had a conversation about having seeds from one land, how the seeds from the land of like the Native Americans or African Americans was growing, but it wasn't growing on the land where the Caucasian people were, in the past. And how, I don't know, something about how where the maybe where the land was more fertile or something is where it would grow and prosper as far as growing, yielding, harvest, and things like that. She said she had got an idea, so that seems like to be the only thing maybe where she kind of got an idea from. I don't know how that's going to turn into helping the Borderlones, either get that land protected, getting their farm protected, or overthrowing the city council's decision for the historical fund. There was a scene earlier too where Billy and Nova, after that, not earlier, but Billy and Nova, after the hearing decision from the city council, they have like drinks on the back of a pickup truck. They had like these, they look like 40 ounces, 40 ounces. And Nova talks about doing like a protest on the land when they try to come and, because by them overthrowing, by the city council overthrowing the historical landmark, they're going to come and dig up the bones on the farm, remove them. And so Nova was talking about that they will do, have a protest or something and maybe try to stop it. So, and then the last scene after that is basically the sheriff comes to evict Parthena from her farm and her land. The Bordelon family shows up. They call Ralph Angel. Hollywood ends up showing there. He calls people to help start moving out some of Parthena's stuff because once the sheriff locks up the house, she won't be able to get to it, and they're going to auction off her land and everything, and everything on the property and inside her house. So people are going to try to help her to get stuff out of the house before the sheriff completely locks it up. So and she's crying, and Ralph Angel and Aunt Vi, they're trying to comfort her, but I didn't even, yeah, so I guess 2 days go by, or a total maybe of, yeah, I guess a total of 2 to 3 days go by in this episode. Honestly, this episode was kind of depressing. The only good things that kind of happened in this episode was, I guess, Prosper going on his dates, and Micah, learning about NFTs and, selling, getting his images or feeling like his images are good enough to even be sold and to make some money and things like that. You know, they show little baby True again of Ralph Angel and Darla, but I mean, other than that, this episode was kind of depressing. A lot of other stuff is, I mean, the co-op is promising, but I think too, if they end up selling the land, if Parthena's land ends up getting sold or goes back to the, I mean, at this point, it is going back to the bank. But if her land ends up getting sold, it may affect the co-op because it'll be one less, I guess, person part of the co-op. If they end up going through with selling her land and auctioning it off, so it may affect the co-op as well. Which of course is probably what the land use also trying to do, even though earlier too, Landry was like, we need this to go through. Of course, it's not actually about, the people who died. They just, they want this outlet mall because of the money, basically, or whatever deal that they put in place, assumedly for at least, millions of dollars. So, which is what they're trying to do. And, Parker's a part of it. But either way, yeah, this episode wasn't bad. It was, I mean, it's continuing, it's carrying on from episode one. It was a little depressing, though. Because I don't think the Borderlands are necessarily defeated, but now they have to, they've gotten kind of knocked down again, so they kind of have to rise back up, to the occasion, which is what they've been doing for all the other 6 seasons. So we'll see what happens next. If you like this, please click the like button, subscribe, and comment below.